Thursday, right? Did I say that right? I mean, does it sound like I'm slurring at this point? I'm sorry, guys, if I am. Hey, thank you for tuning into the East West Football, man. Everything NFL, everything football. We are 2 weeks, gentlemen, 2 weeks from the 2023 NFL Draft. How are we feeling? Who's starting to feel it?
I am. I'm ready for everything to start, man. I'm hearing too many goofy takes now. But you know what though? It happens 2-3 weeks prior to the draft every year. People get bored. You've been quoting the same exciting household sexy names over and over again since September. People start throwing other wild names out there and throwing all types of weird stuff up here that they think could happen because we done pretty much thrown out every type of scenario possible.
What about you,
Hey,
Kid?
I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm eager. It's like it needs to hurry up. It's like this is the longest 2 weeks for it to get here. Like, come
The
on,
long,
draft.
Yeah.
the
And we all
longest.
know like whenever it gets going, it's gonna fly by. But I'm just rest like it's like dang man. Like is it next week? Is it next week? I'm ready for it.
Harv, what you got?
You know it's getting close when you start discussing what food you're gonna eat,
Hey, well said, man. Well said.
right? It's just like, what are we gonna cook? What are we
Yeah,
doing? Because it's
yeah.
such a bit. It's like at the end of the day, it's the scouts of the NFL Super Bowl. So
Hey,
it's
let's
exciting, man.
give a round of applause to Walt, man, and the entire East West football team that has been. I still don't know, right? I try my best to watch as much film as possible, but I don't know how Walter does it. Emmanuel, I don't know how you do it. Man, the list goes on and on. We got Alex Greb, we got Costa, we got Philip Smith, we got Jack Tuttle. Like all these guys, they put out great articles on the eastwestfootball.com. That's our website. Definitely encourage you to go and tune in. Hey, and if you or if you know anybody that is trying to help, maybe be an editor, definitely get with us. Definitely we are in search of that. So if you do find that, let us know. But check out the website, get caught up on the prospects. But shout out to you, Walt. I know that you've been working tirelessly. I don't think, is it all year round for you, Walt?
Yeah, man, I'm one of those weirdos that don't quit. I don't take any time off, man. After the draft is over with, I'm gonna jump straight into the new Drafted podcast, which is gonna be NFL draft talk all year long. So I don't quit, man. I don't quit.
But I will tell you this: when it comes to it, I mean, it's really truly worth it. I think the NFL has done a great job as far as making the NFL draft a real experience. Now I understand we talked about it, we poked some fun, but hey, we're 2 weeks away. Let's get right to it, man. Let's get to business. Richard Allen, Super Bowl bound, right? HTTR, right? Which is, we all know, this is a Washington. The HTTR stands for hell to
the Redskins.
yeah. You know what? Maybe, right? They've been making some news lately, and we're going to talk about that today, right? Dwight Thrasher, it's getting close when we have decided to draft every tight end in college football. Well, why is it that this year's tight end group is making so much noise? Why? I mean, what is it about this tight end group?
Yeah, the reason I think is probably because there's overall more depth and quality of players, I think, at this moment at tight end than there is at wide receiver. You can make the argument that a team that's picking in the early 20s could wind up drafting the best tight end in the class over stretching it for the third best receiver or fourth best receiver. I mean, I feel that's solid at least about Mayer for that matter. Kincaid is a little different. I like Kincaid, but I'm concerned about his age. I'm concerned about the injuries. And they used him a ton at Utah. He was a very high volume target there. So I think overall there's some really quality guys in this class.
Kendall, are you ready for your pages for tight end there?
No.
I said that last night. Kendall, y'all will be better. You'll be better off with Michael Mayer over Jordan Addison.
Yeah, but I mean, no, I don't believe so because we got Gesicki. We do have Hunter Henry now. Long term, yeah, we would be because they on 1 year deals. Both of them, their contract is up after this season. But at the 14th pick, that's two. No, sir. No way, no how. I wouldn't do it there. Second or
But is
third
it the
round, maybe.
position or the pick?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. Like it can't do it there. Give me Addison, gives you more upside, gives you more of what you need right now. I think we all right with the two band-aids we got with Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. Maybe Laporta in the third round, late second, something like that. I'll take that. We can't go with that pick. We cannot go. We cannot get a tight end there.
All right. What about Kincaid at 26?
We talked about it.
How many times have we heard it? I mean, all off season. It's horrible.
At the end of the day, that's what I say, man. I don't like the pick, and it's not fancy or whatever, but I think I agree with Walt when it comes to is that wide receiver number 1? Wide receiver 2, 3? Like, I don't know. These guys are that good. But, I mean, is that your best option as wide receiver? Is kind of like you got to think about it. So I don't agree with the first round, but we saw the stats on the Cowboys cast, just so y'all know. And it didn't look pretty good. It didn't look good at all, actually, for first round tight ends. So I think the anomaly was Pitts. So other than that, it wasn't very good. So we'll see, man.
Well,
we also don't get a lot of them selected in the first round either. We don't see a whole lot of tight ends selected.
This tight end class is the deepest on the win.
Yeah.
Well said. Let's talk about the names, right? There's 17 people that are 17 young players that will be entering the draft, and these have been invited to the actual draft and accepted their actual invitations. Number 1, Jordan Addison. That is Kendall's boy, the wide receiver out of USC. Will Anderson Jr., linebacker. He's listed as a linebacker, right? Yesterday we had a good conversation about this out of Alabama. Brian Branch, defensive back out of Alabama. Jalen Carter, defensive lineman out of Georgia. Zay Flowers, wide receiver out of Boston College. Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon, cornerback out of Oregon. Paris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle from Ohio State. We got Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky. Joey Porter Jr., cornerback out of Penn State. Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida. Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas. Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver out of Ohio State. We got CJ Stroud, quarterback out of Ohio State. Keon White, defensive end out of Georgia Tech. And we got Tyree Wilson, defensive end of Texas Tech, and Devin Witherspoon, cornerback out of Illinois. Last but not least, Bryce Young, quarterback of Alabama. What do you guys think, man? I mean, why does this number seem to have fallen every single year since the COVID year, man? It's crazy. What do you think, Walt?
Well, didn't you hit on it before? Well, I think COVID is part of it as well. Situation we had a few years ago, but also they've been over the past 3 years, they kind of been harping on, well, not necessarily harping, but they've been focused on not embarrassing these kids much, anymore. It doesn't help when these networks consistently shove cameras in their faces when they're depressed or they're down and they're not feeling their best. So to avoid that, I think a lot of players are choosing to not go either. A lot of players have chosen to stay home, stay with family or whatnot. But I do think that's a big reason, which is strange because, we heard a lot about Jalen Carter possibly falling. So it makes me wonder, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news or the guy that's looking at it from a negative point of view, but it's like these networks try to create stories as well. So there's been a lot of word about Jalen Carter possibly falling. He's been probably the most polarizing guy in this draft so far through the draft process. Did you invite him just to see if he was going to fall and create a story out of this? Because we've heard tons of lines about him possibly not going in the top 10. There's been word around the league that he could possibly fall into the 20s. I don't think he'll fall out of the first round, but sometimes these people, they will create a story. They'll try to set things up to create a story. And also I think Keon White, we spoke about that before the show. It's kind of strange that, not necessarily Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy is a big name in this draft. There's some other bigger names that didn't get invited. And, maybe those guys decided to not go on their own accord, but Those are the two main things that kind of stand out to me.
So go ahead, Kendall.
Oh, well, you know who I'm going with Jordan Addison. I mean, he's the name that stands out to me on the list and whatnot. The other receivers, Zay Flowers. I don't think did Quentin Johnson get invited?
Well, he didn't accept it if he did.
Okay. Well, I'm going with Jordan Addison. I think it's good for these kids. They're young. Just know, like, look at this. In a couple of weeks, right now, they don't know what their future is. They're gonna be living. They don't know nothing. In a couple of weeks, all that's gonna change for them. So I think it's always big when these kids, and they're still kids because they're young, get accepted to the draft and stuff like that. It's big for them. It's a big moment for them, their family, and all that. Man, I'm so daggone excited, and I didn't know like this. This is kind of short this year. Normally it's a lot more.
Well, Harv, getting back to what Walt was saying, who did you say that you had a memory of?
Aaron Rodgers, man.
Damn.
Aaron Rodgers, that was horrible. That's probably one of the worst ones.
I think Brady Quinn was worse.
I think Leland McElroy. Remember Leland McElroy played for Leland. Was it Arkansas? I think it was Arkansas. No, Texas A&M. Running back in the day. He was actually out there crying. And I think that was when, because he remember he was a guy that was projected to go in the first round, fell to the second. He fell to Arizona in the second round, and there were constant video shots of him actually crying in the green room. And after that day, I think that was when they started to kind of really. But that was way back in like the late '90s, I believe, when Leland McElroy came out.
What about Remember Takk McKinley?
Well, that was cringeworthy, man.
But he still a first rounder, wasn't he?
Wasn't he? I think he was a first rounder.
Yeah, I think he was like pick 26, though. He fell
to the Falcons, yeah.
Yeah, to the Falcons. Dwight Thrasher says, this draft class is not that great. I still think that Nolan Smith and Will Anderson are the only two solid picks to me. Wow. What do you think about that? Well, since you are the senior scout here.
I mean, I like Nolan Smith. I've liked Nolan Smith since he came out of high school. But I've also said that I think he's been – how can I put this? He's getting pretty much that same moniker that a lot of Georgia players, a lot of Georgia defenders get. Ignore the production, ignore the pass rush production or whatever. Look at the athlete. Look at how they were played. The thing with Nolan is this. I think people get the wrong idea about him. They saw the 40 time, they saw the extreme athleticism, and they automatically equated that with pass rusher. But anyone who really watched Georgia can see that he's very far along for being an elite pass rusher. First, I think he's undersized. I think he's more of a 3-4 outside linebacker, maybe 4-3 depending on the base that you got, what type of alignments in the front you're going to use. But I just think that when you watch him on film, he's very far away pass rush wise.
Interesting.
Very strong guy, very great athlete, but I just found it strange that as soon as he started, as soon as everyone saw how athletic he was, they automatically made him the best pass rusher in the class, which is silly because if you really watched him on film, he wasn't that dominant of a pass rusher. He's an elite run defender. That's really what Nolan Smith is, and he's kind of – people are betting on the traits that he's going to get better as a pass rusher. Same thing that same credit people gave Trayvon Walker a year ago. Remember 3 weeks leading up to the draft, Walker was somewhere in the 17s.
Yeah.
And then once everyone saw how freak of an athlete he was, and they tied him to Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt and Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean, and everyone kind of overhyped all of those Georgia players last year. And I think he went right up there with it. Even though I do believe Trayvon can be a good player down the road, he was very far away as a pass rusher. So, Jacksonville bet on the traits. He could get better, could not. But like I said, I think Nolan Smith is another guy who people are looking at the traits, and they're hoping he becomes an elite pass rusher, but I don't think that's really what his game is.
I know Harvey and myself at the beginning of the whole process, this is our guy at 26. This is who we wanted. And dang,
I like him. I like him with Parsons.
He blew the combine out, and we're like, damn, there goes our stock. I think he's going to be an Eagle, to be honest with you. I think if the way the board's been falling and the way the mock drafts are Jalen Carter's not there, I think that would be the pick for the Eagles. I think they're trying to rebuild there.
Another Georgia player?
Yeah. Team them up. They have Kobe Dean, Jordan Davis, and why not him? Alex Lopez has commented, Carter did not meet with any team outside the top 10. He declined to do so. Do you all agree with this decision? Kendall, what do you think, man? I'll let you take this one over.
I like it. I mean, there's no need to waste time. He's sure. I mean, I don't think his stock's gonna fall drastically because of the off-field things, off-field incident that he had. I do think I know I see a lot of people, they say like they don't like the attitude, they don't like that because you never know what can happen. It's not a good look because I mean it could drop. I mean it's like these teams to the side on you, so you can drop all the way down to 20. I don't think it will. I don't think it dropped that far, but still at the same time for him to come out and say that he's not going to waste time going outside the top 10. A lot of teams, a lot of personnel, team personnel really probably don't like. It's not a good look, but I mean. He's still confident. His agent is still confident. He's going to go probably top 5, top 10. So we'll see what happens.
Arv, what do you think? Is this the Deion Sanders treatment?
No, man. This is totally different. I've already said this guy's immature, right? And I don't care how old you are. And for your team to let you do that is probably wrong in every situation you can think of. Because I'll tell you this, you're trying to sell yourself to these teams. And they're going to spend millions of dollars on you. And for you not to showcase for them is probably the wrong answer, in my opinion. And if you do that, and I'm thinking of picking you anywhere in the top, out of the top 10 within that 5 range, 10 to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you're off my board. And he was off my board already, but he just solidified that he's really off my board now. I'm not going to do that. If you're going to play that cat and mouse game, you're coming off my board because we're talking about picking a guy that high. Can I depend on you? I don't know about that. I would not do it.
What do you think, Walt? Does this scare you in any way, any fashion? I know that the Detroit Lions are picking 6. I mean, it's a real possibility. I know you said the Lions are wide open for any prospect. I guess BPA, right? Does this get you in any type of way?
It does a little bit. Because I think as far as the public, we don't know exactly what's going on. We're not in these meetings. We're not these organizations that's sending these scouts out here to talk to people at Georgia, talk to his teachers, talk to his high school teachers, talk to his coaches, talk to his friends, talk to the people, the classmates that he treated bad. And like they talk to everybody. And when Detroit, well, at least when Brad Holmes, they said that when they went out to actually speak with some people about him at Georgia, they heard some very interesting things. Now, we've heard from Todd McShay pretty much the middle of this season. He said that there were maturity concerns about him. This was way before the car situation even happened.
Correct.
So, I don't know. I think if Detroit passes on him at 6, it's a question. I think it has to be raised because they said, about 20 teams supposedly took him off their board. That can mean one thing right now, but
took him off.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It speaks volumes.
Yeah, I just think it's for first of all, who will be the first Auburn player taken?
So Dwight Thrasher, question for Walt: who will be the first Auburn player taken?
I'm going to be biased, even though I like Tank Bigsby. He's a running back, so that probably won't happen.
No.
I think the linebacker. Yeah. I don't want to mispronounce his name, but was it Opo?
Oh man, I've been butchering these names like crazy.
Oh yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, Dwight Thrasher. If you know his name, you can pronounce his name. Spell it out in the comments.
It's really good for Auburn because Auburn's a school that really hasn't had a lot of top tier talent come out. I mean, who's the last big name for Auburn? Cam Newton, Nick Fairley.
Well, they had Roger McCreary was kind of a name a little bit last year, but
then they had them defense tackles also.
Dwayne Brown.
Oh yeah, Brown. Yeah. Derek Brown.
Sorry,
Derek Brown
for the Panthers.
Didn't they have one before that too?
One at Fairley.
I just remember that they had 2 Auburn players. I remember Coach O saying, both of you all going to be first rounders. I think
what you call it?
Fourth
from the
round.
49ers came from
Davidson. Wasn't
D
it
Ford.
Davis?
Oh, D Ford.
D Ford.
Yeah, D Ford was from Auburn.
Alex says, how many trades do y'all see in the first round? Man, this thing is getting crazy, man. So it's a legitimate question.
I know Belichick gonna make a lot of trades. He always do trades.
I know Detroit might make a trade.
I mean, this is the good show to be a part of right now, right? Because I mean, 2 weeks out, I think that for sure. I heard Daniel Jeremiah talk about this just recently, about less than a week ago. Him and Bucky Brooks were talking about there's real chatter about the Titans moving up to pick 3. So whatever that is, I'll leave that up to speculation. You would think that it's maybe for a future quarterback. If you're going to make a move like that, I'll ask this, and whoever wants to take lead, go ahead. If the Titans pull this off and move up to where the Cardinals are at, who are they selecting?
Oh, we already know who they're selecting. I mean, dude, it's Anthony Richardson, man.
Oh,
Right.
okay, all right.
It gotta be.
It's
Gotta be Richardson. Gotta be.
I mean, you got to think they still have Tannehill, but I don't know how much time he's got left. But for you to draft that guy now, because he's a development guy, you can't start him right away. You'll ruin him. So I think that's a perfect situation for him. And then you still got Derrick Henry. I don't know. There's a lot of question marks for him. But you can also get a running back in the second round, maybe a left tackle. I know they brought Gilliard from the Eagles, but we'll see, man. I mean, they can get a wide receiver in the second round to help him out for the future. But I think it's set up that way, man. I honestly think the Titans are probably – because God knows how they're going to finish next season. But we'll see. I think it's Anthony Richardson all day.
I hate that for him. I just don't. I don't like that situation for him at all, man.
Well, you said he. I mean, I see it too.
Oh, Steve McNair.
Steve McNair. I mean, they've been needing a Steve McNair there in Tennessee. What do you think?
Walt, you make a great point on the situation. Look at Malik Willis. They drafted Willis last year.
Two projects.
Yep. So
Two projects.
I'm 100% with Walt. I never really thought about that. It just like does the Titans have the front office or the coach, the team to develop? Because you just got a project with Willis last year. So now you're going back the same, and then this time you're trading up for Richardson. Willis landed in their hands and landing right in the lap last year, but now you're trading up for Richardson, and he's already a developmental prospect or whatnot. So I'm 100%. I agree with Walt right there. It's just, but I don't like.
Guys, hold on. Let's stop for a bit though. This is not the same general manager. That's the part you have to understand. It's not the same general manager. So you can't say like, oh, they already got this. It's a whole different guy.
I understand that. I understand. Okay, but you got Ryan Tannehill there. You got Malik Willis there. So you're trading up. I know that. We know that. But you're trading up. If you're trading up for Anthony Richardson, you expect him to start week 1, right? If you give him that much.
No.
Huh?
No.
Okay.
It's a good chance he's going to end up playing year 1, though.
You don't think he'll start week 1?
So I don't think he'll start, but I think they should sprinkle him in here and there every once in a while just to see what he's got. But I don't think starting is not a good idea.
I just don't like the situation they're rebuilding, and Derrick Henry his rumors are he on the way out. They've tore up the defense. They did re-sign Jeffrey Simmons, gave him an extension. I just don't like. I would like him to go to a more of a structured team or whatnot.
This is
I give a team right here. What about the Minnesota Vikings?
Them too. But I think this is not even – the Tennessee Titans have never really been an offensive-oriented team, though, organization. They've always been whether it's Derrick Henry or it's Eddie George or it's you can answer Chris Johnson, they've always been a run-the-football, tough, hard-nosed defense type of team. Even the Super Bowl team with Steve McNair and Eddie George and Kevin Dyson, like that's always been their mode as an organization. So, and there's no talent around Richardson. Like, I can see Richardson going there next season, being thrust into a situation to play whether Tannehill was ineffective or Tannehill got hurt for 4 or 5 weeks or whatever, and I can see them just running Richardson into the ground. Because there's nobody for him to throw to. Burks was a guy that you felt like you just took. Burks had no reason. There was no reason to even take him at that spot.
Okay, so if the Titans aren't it, then you guys tell me who it is then.
There's a handful of teams that I think provide him a better chance to be successful than Tennessee.
He ain't going past 10, so
I think Seattle gives him a solid opportunity to be successful. I think Detroit at 6 gives him a solid opportunity to be successful. I think Atlanta's building a decent team. Who else? Carolina. If Carolina decided to take him at number 1, which I don't think is going to happen, I think Tennessee right now is a bad situation for any quarterback to go to.
Wow.
We don't have a track record of seeing them put together a solid offense around the quarterback. Even though there's a new guy, a new sheriff in town, like historically, that organization, all these organizations have certain tendencies. And that's kind of been their tendency always: run the football, tough, hard nose, and we'll gut out wins kind of. And look at their head coach. I don't see it for them. Who is he going to throw to? Who's going to help him? He has no left tackle. They got a bunch of other aging guys on that offensive line. You're going to give up assets to move up to get them. And then when you move up to get them, you're not going to have any way to help them.
Makes perfect sense. I will say this. Everybody made a great point, but I will say this. In the last 10 years, there has been an average of 6 trades made in the first round. Just so you have a ballpark. So, Alex, I think that if anything, I think that this might be that year that we can probably see maybe it going past 6, maybe 7 trades going. Things have been kind of crazy. The rumors have been getting out of control. Dwight Thrasher says it's Owen. I would say Papo, right? That's kind of the way we would pronounce it, but I hate it. I've already butchered. I mean, Felix Onwuarke, man, I already butchered his name. You see that? So yeah, no. Titans need to wait till next year and get a quarterback. Wow.
That could be the plan. I mean, they could just tank.
I mean,
I hate to just throw that out there. Though.
There's no tanking in the NFL. Walt.
There's no tanking. But Sean Payton did admit that if there's one, it's Caleb Williams, which obviously there's something he sees in Caleb Williams, but maybe other teams do too. We'll see. But the biggest story of today, gentlemen, the Washington Washington Commanders. My bad.
Hey, now.
My bad.
This is an East-West football stream.
Oh, that's
not a Cowboy stream now.
My bad. The Washington Commanders. It says here it's a monumental day in Washington as the Commanders owner Daniel Snyder reached an agreement with Josh Harris Group to sell the team for $6.05 billion. And you heard that right. $6.05 billion. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts?
Turnover. And we've been hearing about this for the last year or two that this been going on, that they're interested in selling the team. After some stuff came out that we don't got time to get into that.
Yeah, we can't get into that. But
yeah, we don't got time to get into that after some stuff came out, but off the field or whatnot. But if you're not about to say Redskin, but if you're a Commander fan, I'm not gonna call them the Commodes. That's Jerry's good for calling them.
Oh my
Me
bad.
and Jerry did talk about this earlier, though. I think it's a lot. I mean, it's changing direction, and when these owners come in, they like having their own head coaches, own quarterback. They like just a whole revamp of the whole team. I actually think Washington has some good talent there. Let's see what they do in the draft. But hey, big day if you are a Washington Commander fan. Daniel Snyder, he's out of there.
Richard Allen.
Who are you talking about?
He said, "I'll tell y'all right now, Super Bowl bound." So he says Washington Commanders are Super Bowl bound. You heard it here first on the East West Football.
Hey, it's possible.
Richard Allen is declared.
Hey, listen,
Commanders.
We saw the best of Sam Howell at North Carolina when he had a bunch of talent around him.
True.
Now, do they have a bunch of talent around him?
I like what they got with Dobson and McLaurin, Samuel.
I don't like their running backs, man. They're
I don't either. But
their wide receivers.
I think they could use a tight end, a target in the middle of the field, and maybe they go Dalton.
Some corners too.
Yeah, corners. Yeah, but I like the talent. I like the talent they got at receiver. Receiver they set. I feel like a long transfer running back, and let's see what Howard can do.
Unfortunately, I was there the last game of the season, and I watched the Commanders beat the Cowboys. But Sam Howell looked good, man. I'm telling you, he could. It was surprising watching him live, and he could rip the ball. So I think they have something there, and actually, I think everybody knows about Eric Bieniemy, and I think it's very underrated, man. We're gonna see how he can develop Sam Howell, and it's gonna be very interesting.
I'm
Richard
glad
Allen
to see
said,
he's getting a fair shot, man.
yeah, for sure
Yeah.
on that one.
Yeah.
And he should have, what was he, a 5th rounder last year? Crazy. Ask
Yeah.
the Cowboys defense if he has talent, right? And he's talking about Sam Howell.
Here we go, man. Here we go. He's poking the bear. Watch
Yeah.
out, Richard. Be
Yeah.
careful.
You got to be careful what you ask for, man. Look, overall, what does that tell you as far as becoming a majority owner in the NFL? I mean, do you think that these numbers will continue to go up for the next person that maybe decides to sell their team? Or do you think that this is the cap?
There's a lot of money involved in football.
It's a lot of
Ain't no ceiling on this. No ceiling.
And then the other thing is they're talking about expanding overseas. Come on, man.
4 teams.
So if you see that in the next 3 to 4 years, you can almost say that number's probably going to double. The 6 to 7 million will probably look into a 14 billion. I'm sorry. It's probably going to double if you expand overseas.
Well, I'm just saying, I know this is an East-West football stream, and a season ago, Forbes magazine listed the Dallas Cowboys to be worth $6 billion. So I'm just asking, gentlemen, Walter, Kendall, how much is the Dallas Cowboys worth if the Commanders got $6 billion?
We'll never find out because Jerry Jones will never sell them.
Oh,
We'll never find out.
I love it. If he did, how much do you think he can get?
Whew,
Oh man, it's crazy.
crazy.
I
If
think.
the Commanders went for that, just a match. Oh man,
Are we talking about just NFL wise, just pro sports?
No, I'm
Because I'm
saying
thinking you talking about like. I don't think anybody's talking about the Yankees. Like if you talking about buying the Yankees, you talking about an astronomical amount of money. But how much was the Dodgers? The Dodgers were somewhere around. Oh, hold on. But that's just baseball. But if we just stick to the.
well, I mean, who was? Oh, okay. Panthers sold for how much? Let me look that up real quick. I believe it was the Panthers.
What do you got, Kendall? What number you got?
the highest number it is because that's what they're gonna go for.
We talking about a good 8.5, 9 billion, maybe.
Probably more than that.
So
Probably more.
Dave Tepper bought the Panthers for $2.275 billion, and this is a franchise team. This is not a story team. This is a franchise team. Let's get caught up real quick with the comments. Eric Bieniemy is on a revenge tour.
I like that.
Wow.
I'm a Cowboy fan, but I'll tell you, man, I feel for Eric Bieniemy, man, and I like that.
What do you think, Walt? Do you think Eric Bieniemy wants to really show that he could be a head coach? I'll ask the same question to you, Kendall.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Shady McCord for always taking shots at Eric Bieniemy. Man, yeah, no, I actually like him. I think he did a great job in Kansas City, and he's always something. These guys go on these other podcasts, just like the down people, whatnot. I'm a big fan of Bieniemy. I think he's going to do good in Washington. Sometimes you just need you need to put your own fingerprints on something, and I think that's what he's going to do in Washington. Maybe long term could be the head coach there, because I don't think Rivera might be there too much longer, and they better get a new owner. So I mean, I didn't like all the shade that was thrown after he went to Washington. Man, no need for that. It's always one person.
Yeah. I think he and Sam Howell have a lot to prove. And of course, his success as a coordinator is only gonna be tied to him, and getting back to Howell, man, I think he was unfairly trashed his last year at North Carolina. And I've made this comparison because he gets trashed. He got trashed for the same exact reasons that people created excuses for Will Levis. Like, remember when Sam Howell, the year before he came out, he had De'Ami Brown, he had Michael Carter in the backfield, he had Javonte Williams, he had all those receivers. He lost everybody and then played subpar the next season, and they killed him for it.
Literally.
Meanwhile, Will Levis played subpar for 2 years, and the excuse is, well, he's a pro-ready quarterback. He just doesn't have anybody. Just wait and see. Once he gets around NFL talent, he's going to be great. And it just kills me how they create these double standards for who they choose to create them for. Plus, Sam Howell did resemble Baker Mayfield a little bit, which I found really stupid. people didn't like him because he reminded them of Baker Mayfield. You hear all types of goofy stuff during draft time, though.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody here across the board could say he does look like Baker
He
Mayfield.
does. Hey,
Yeah,
the
but
way
dark
he-
hair
the way
and a
he-
stocky body, like
Yeah,
that
the way
doesn't
he
mean that
talks,
doesn't.
the way he
That's,
talks,
Same
the
body,
way he
everything,
looks,
man.
it look like him.
Oh, Damien says I am 0.0000001% owner of the commodes. Okay.
Interesting.
How'd you get into that? And Richard Allen said, "Don't the Cowboys make the most money out of all of any pro sports team at a million at a minimum of 10 bill?" Why you airing out our laundry like
is
that?
that
You
true?
You can't do that. Yeah.
Are we counting merchandise as well? I don't know.
Everything.
I don't know. I see a whole lot of New York Yankee paraphernalia walking around. It's a lot of New York Yankee fitteds being worn in Detroit too.
Yeah.
Like we just talking about certain teams and the stuff that sold. I think the Knicks, not the Knicks, but hell no, not the Knicks. But I think that the Cowboys are probably the most polarizing. They're like the organization people love to hate. Now, you ever notice people don't really hate the Steelers? People tend to like the Steelers, though.
True.
You know,
like
the Packers,
I like where you're going with this. I like where you're going with this.
you know, but the Cowboys are like the most polarizing. They're definitely the most polarizing. Nobody roots for the Steelers to lose. People root for the Cowboys to lose, though. Fair or not. Fair or not.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Hey, Walt,
yeah.
they love to love us, they love to hate us, but at the end of the day, it's all love.
Who are the,
Yeah,
who are the 2 most hated?
Yeah.
Who are the 2 most hated teams in the NFL? Cowboys and the Patriots.
Well, nobody really hates y'all anymore, man. Y'all done came back down to earth a little bit.
Hey.
So we don't hate y'all anymore, man.
I think when Tom Brady left the building, I think that it was safe to say that the Patriots are no longer the Patriots of old, you know. But we'll see. There's a little bit of a resurgence coming around. Just to kind of wrap it up here, Sam Howell is going to be what everyone thought Baker Mayfield would have been. Ooh, what do you think about that, Walt?
Well, Jerry, me and you discussed him a lot.
We have.
Coming out of college, his final 2 years at North Carolina. There's a lot of potential. He's got a live arm. He's got a really nice deep ball. We felt that he had the best deep ball out of that class.
And better than Peters.
Yeah. I think what really kind of killed the idea that, okay, well, you know, he lost everything, so things are bad for him, is that we saw Bryce Young. And Bryce Young is on a different level, but we saw Bryce Young lose, 5 weapons? And pretty much went out the very next season in 2022 and duplicated the same production, where his number one receiver was, a running back? Jahmyr Gibbs, almost. Correct. That was his number one weapon. And he still almost got them to an undefeated season. So, yeah, I mean, some guys are just cut different, but I just think that Sam Howell just got dealt a bad hand at Carolina, and then people just trashed him for something that was completely out of his hands, man.
For looking like the wrong guy at the wrong time, right?
Yep.
Alex Lopez, Miami cornerback Tyreek Stevenson just returned from a visit with the Cowboys. Source says Diggs trade is coming. Laughing out loud. Oh my God!
Don't do it. Not for Stevenson. Don't do it. Don't do it, Cowboys. Don't do it.
What is just so we can end this off? Obviously, I know. Previously, I remember Harvey. You said this. Watch Daniel Sanders trade for Lamar Jackson for the Commanders, right? And you said what better way to sell the team? I think now when we look at the big picture, what do you think? I think they have the talent on defense, right? It's still relatively young defense. Offense is still relatively young. What's the upside for the Commanders? They did have a valiant effort. I want to hear it from all three of you guys.
I want to say before the end of the time they played the Cowboys, they were ranked number 4 defense in the NFL.
That is a stat. That is a fact.
Which, considering that's pretty for not making the playoffs, that's pretty good. So that just tells you that they need a piece on offense, and that's the quarterback. How Sam Howell plays depends a lot on that. But making a trade for Lamar Jackson would change the whole aspect, not only for the NFL but the NFC. He automatically becomes quarterback number 1 in my opinion. So crazy.
Yeah, I think if they can with the news coming out today with Daniel Snyder, if they can somehow get Lamar Jackson or whatnot, The upside, I think they can a deep playoff run. They already been in the NFC East, a pretty tough division. NFC as a whole is not that deep and not that tough. I could definitely see them a top 5-6 team in the NFC because in the NFC because they already got talent. You add a player like Lamar Jackson, dynamic, can run it and they can throw it. And he's not far. Baltimore is not too far from.
And Kendall, he's got Eric Bieniemy.
Bingo. So,
yeah, I just want to see a more well-rounded team from what I saw against Detroit last season, man. They still need help in the secondary. I think they're kind of top-heavy. They remind me of how that Jim Schwartz team was built in the early years, where we had so much money invested in that damn defensive line, like Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen. You talking about Chase Young, who there's been rumors about, him and his production and not being healthy, and are they willing to shop him? There were rumors that they shopped him last offseason to Houston. They've drafted well. Montez Sweat, of course, went to Michigan State here. I know all about him. They got plenty of talent on that defensive line. They spent the first-round pick on Jamin. What's his last name? The linebacker from Kentucky from a year ago.
Davis?
Jamin Davis. Yeah.
Jamin Davis.
Yeah. That secondary needs help. They did go after William Jackson, and things didn't work out with William Jackson. They got him the hell out of town. I just want to see a more well-rounded team, man. I think the offensive line can get a little better as well. But just comparing them to what I saw against Detroit last year, and I understand this is a completely different new season. It's going to be a new team, a lot of new pieces moving around. But I like Washington. I like how they're built overall. I just think that they need to get out of being so top-heavy. I like the fact that they paid McLaurin. McLaurin deserved to get paid. He's a solid-ass receiver. Dotson, he was one of my top 5 receivers a year ago. I like him. Gibson is okay. It just figures like in the running game, they just get away from him too much. They wanted to throw the ball a little too much last season. And I watched them firsthand against Detroit, even though things got kind of out of hand early with Wentz at quarterback and they fell behind early to it, so they kind of had to abandon the run. But I think a lot of it is going to come down to what Sam Howell turns out to be, because this could be one and done for him. Heineke's gone. He's in Atlanta now.
Yeah.
So when you're a second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round pick as a quarterback, you don't get the same leeway that these first round picks get. So if Washington goes out next season and they struggle and Sam Howell struggles in his first season as a starter, which he should be allowed to struggle, I could see them moving on. We know how quickly these teams will move on from a third or fourth round pick at quarterback. So
we'll see, right? With each there, you got to always look at the bright side, right? With every beginning, there's always a new beginning, right? And I think that's a new day and age for the Washington area. And let's see, best of luck. This ownership's going to retain, like what Harvey said, was the 4th ranked defense aside their former 2nd pick overall Chase Young. They were able to do that, like you said. So we'll see what will happen, what will transpire, and in 2 weeks. But that's it for us tonight, gentlemen. Anything else to end the show off? Well, that's it.
I'm gonna just say this. I find it amazing. I find it amazing, and this happens a lot more often than people know. Chase Young and Jeff Okudah were what? The number 1 and number 2 ranked players coming out of high school that year. Both of them went to Ohio State, and we're looking at a situation where, if Chase Young doesn't show it this season, he could be out of there.
Damn.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, he could be out of there, man. Like, you don't get that long. Jadeveon Clowney got a few years to stink it up or whatever, but he wasn't hurt. He was out there just not getting the job done. But I just find it strange. Both of those guys were the number 1 and number 2 ranked prospects coming out of high school. And
they were 2nd and 3rd in that draft class too.
Yeah.
So it speaks volumes, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see if Chase Young can get it together. If he could be that rookie year, holy smokes, man, that defense is going to be on fire this year.
Could add a lot to that deep defensive line talent that they got with they just re-signed Payne, right? Payne. What's the other one?
Jonathan
Allen. So it add a lot. It just hasn't been healthy, but we'll see this year.
And Montez Sweat, you said. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they just need to fix a couple pieces. I think that the Washington team can really give every team in the NFC
They
East.
remind me of the Atlanta Falcons a little bit. They got all the talent, but it's always something that just messes with them and they can't never do that. Like the Chargers in the AFC, they got all the talent, but it's always something, either injury or coaching.
Missed field goal.
Yeah, talent ain't
Oh,
the
man.
issue.
It's always
remember
something.
a couple of years ago with Todd Gurley with the Falcons, they were playing against your Detroit Lions. They was trying to trying to win the game. Todd Gurley runs into the end zone, trying to down the ball. So it's like, it's just some team just had that luck, man.
We got Aaliyah. Hey, she's joined us from the Cowboy Cast. We appreciate you. Round of applause. Thank you for subscribing. Right. For those that catch this on the rewind, please subscribe. Turn on your notifications. We will. That's it for us, though. I mean, we talked about the 17. The 17 people that were, the 17 players that were going to be in the green room for the draft, which is 2 weeks away. And then, of course, the sale of the Washington Commanders. But that's it for us, guys. We will see you guys